I did season 2, season 3, didn't do it on season 4, and then season 5. So um, for me, I think the difference was in between. Like I the first 2 auditions, I got some. I'll straight up. I'll be the first to say I wasn't ready. I knew I had raw talent, but I didn't have control. I needed to learn how to sing better, to control my voice. And after the second time I tried out, I went and I got vocal lessons, and I started driving from Hamilton to York to get these lessons, and that helped a ton as far as learning how to use my instrument. But more than anything, it was my mindset. And around that time, I had a friend that gave me a CD by Brian Tracy, and it
He's
was called
amazing.
yeah. And that was sort of my first introduction into like personal growth and personal development. And he gave me a CD called 22 Steps to Becoming a Millionaire. And I remember he gave me the CD, and I kind of just tossed it in my car and I forgot about it for months. And then after winter, it was like spring cleaning time, and I was cleaning out my car, and I found this CD, and I put the CD on, and here I am expecting like the secret sauce of only what the rich people know and the wealthy. And so my motivation at that time was, how do I get rich? How to become a millionaire? I'm 23 maybe at this point. Um, and I learned that all the steps all had to do with principles and character. That's it, is who you became, about taking responsibility, about having a strong mindset, about being polite, about taking chances, all these different steps. And one thing he had was writing your goals out every day. So I wrote my goals out every single day for probably 8 to 9 months. This is leading up to Idol. And I remember some of the goals that I put out. Like he said, write it in present tense, right? So I would write, I have a record deal. I have a song on radio. I have a gold album. I have blah 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 blah. I had all these different things that happened, and I wrote that every single day, and I would repeat it out loud. But at that point, I started working out. I dove into personal development. I started writing out my goals every single day, and leading up to Idol, all of a sudden you look like a year later, I started doing that. I almost crossed off half my list. And that's the thing that's what was insane, because I wasn't thinking about Idol. I wasn't thinking that was even a possibility of that's how I'm going to get there. I just wanted to put that intention out there. And then sure enough, several months later, I got the record deal. I got the song on radio. I people knew my name as a musician around the country now. Like all these things that I had wrote down, I was able to cross off about half that list, and that blew my mind. So after that experience, it proved to me that nothing was impossible, and that's when everything really started to change for me. But that was definitely the biggest change. So going back to your question about the third audition, I had that mindset going in. So I was prepared, because at that point I probably did 150 shows in like almost a year and a half time leading to that last audition. So my experience was better, but also just being present and being ready. So it did help that there was instruments on the show that year, but I never picked up an instrument the whole time I was on the show. And I play guitar, but when I was on the show, the only time I did it was when I was on The Week with you guys. And I think it was the first time, and I did Imagine on guitar. That was the only time I brought out the guitar. Every other time, I didn't even utilize that advantage. So that didn't really change that definitely motivated me to go, but it didn't change how I approached Idol, because I was still just getting up with a microphone and trying to prove it with my voice.
Yeah, personal growth is so important. It's you don't get what you want, you get who you are.
Who
I've
you
heard
are.
that before, which is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
Dr. Wayne Dyer.
The
Yeah.
whole be do have, right? People think once I have this, I'll be happy. And it's like you have to be happy, and that's how you achieve
Yeah.
that or get that. What's funny is I started by playing guitar, and then along the way I eventually started singing. So before Idol, I always thought of myself as a guitarist that sings. And I actually played guitar during all the auditions. And then what's funny is after Baby Got Back, then I think in the top 200, then they said, okay, no more instruments. I was like, what? Oh no,
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't see that coming. I thought it was, so I had to put down my crutch and move forward. So
Yeah. Well, I picked up the guitar pretty late. So I picked up the guitar when I was 18, 19 years old, but I would always write these tunes. But when I was with the band Stoked, I was a frontman without a guitar. So I got used to being a frontman before playing behind a guitar. So I know a lot of guys that, yeah, they use the guitar as a crutch. So once the guitar went away, they didn't really know what to sort of do with their hands or how to walk around stage because they're always sitting behind that guitar. So it was an advantage to me to actually do the opposite, where I was the front man first and then I grabbed the guitar. So that definitely helped.
So you had a cool David Goggins story, and I have a cool Brian Tracy story.
Oh, really?
So I had read his book Eat That Frog, and then I was listening to, it was about a 30-hour audio on negotiation. Apparently, he's like one of the best negotiators in the world. So I didn't, I knew the name, but I couldn't put a face to him. I wasn't that familiar with him, and suddenly I go to my first personal growth event ever. So this is November 2014. It's funny how you remember those things, right? And I go to a personal growth event. It's a 3-day event. I'm only there because a cute girl asked me to go. Like I wasn't there for personal growth. And at that event, I met a guy. And as I finish the 30-hour audio on Brian Tracy, where I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. That new guy that I just met at the personal growth event goes, hey, Joel, do you know Brian Tracy? And I go, that's so weird. Like I just finished his audio. He goes, oh, he's going to be here next month. So that was November. This is in December. He's going to be here next month. I can get you free tickets to the event and you can meet him if you want.
That's
So,
amazing.
so the very next month in December, 2014, I went to, I think, a 2-day event with Brian Tracy, and I have a picture with Brian Tracy.
That's
I'm like
awesome.
hugging him. It's like awkward. So it's kind of funny how that stuff manifests as well, and how you start something new and you
Yeah,
have no idea where it's leading. And it's
exactly.
the famous Steve Jobs quote where you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking back. So you don't know why
Amen.
you did these things, but when you look back, you see kind of this journey that you traveled.
Yeah, isn't it a beautiful thing, man? Like, just yeah. I mean that's happened to me so many times that like I said, like after you've done that several times, um, the risk is worth it. You don't really kind of stand on the edge nearly as long as you used to when you first started going because you sort of trust in the process, and and you understand the power of kind of failing your way to success as well. So it's like why not go for that goal or whatever it is that you're going for, because at the very least you're learning something, but it's having those reference points that are so important. And like you said, once you start pulling the thread, it might take you to an even more beautiful place that you weren't even expecting.